I'm ready.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Angels of Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The accepted meaning of angel is messenger, and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I do like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Victoria Nunes-Carvalho. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm a guide who helps you remember your divine presence so that you can heal your past, create your future, and transform your present to raise your consciousness, understand your spiritual path, and to take charge of your destiny so you can spread your wings and soar. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use angelic Reiki, future life progression, past life regression, guided meditation, and angel oracle cards to assist you in remembering why you are here, your spiritual path, and clarity on the next steps to take. I also offer a multidimensional virtual retreat, several transformational packages, a journey through lifetimes, a 6 week guided meditation series to help you gain confidence, and I run various workshops and a retreat down in Glastonbury. Now, each episode of the show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Victoria Nunes-Carvalho, who'll be sharing that there really are angels and how we often ignore them. Now, Victoria is an intuitive energy healer and teacher with more than 2 decades of experience in healing and ancestral transformational work, who is dedicated and passionate about empowering those who are keen to commence on their healing journey. Through her own healing journey, Victoria has worked with and learned from some truly amazing spiritual healers and teachers, bringing together everything to transform the lives of clients and students. Victoria works with angels and teaches and practices Tera-Mai, a Reiki Shrem healing courses, which I've probably not pronounced correctly. Now, with testimonials such as Victoria has an extraordinary talent to make you feel completely at ease before, during, and after a treatment, she also offers you a safe place in which to open up emotionally and spiritually. And just to say a big thank you to Victoria for her amazing treatment. I've been visiting Victoria for her energy work for many years and have literally been blown away by how spirit works through her. I am so pleased and blessed to be part of and being able to receive the energies that work with Victoria, her team, so to say. So, without further delay, hello, Victoria, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Good evening. I'm very well, thank you. And it's lovely to be on your show, Ray.
Excellent. Thank you for agreeing to come on. So, before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also say hello, ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Victoria and I want to be part of this conversation. So, please don't be shy. So, Victoria, why don't you tell us more about your journey and how we should connect with and listen to our angels?
I think it's very important to start paying attention to what we've got on this planet that we don't necessarily see. And I think over the years, I've become more and more aware of the fact that it's really, really important. I've never really, I must say, I started off as never really being a big angel person. I wasn't aware of it as such. But as the time has gone by, I am more and more aware that angels are with us all the time. And I think just from what we're going to discuss this evening and up to last week's event, I'm so grateful that I pay attention. It's a matter of if we don't listen, the outcome of our experience is just going to be a bit more painful. And that I can tell you because I don't normally climb through windows.
No.
It's not really my scene, but they. And so I'm very grateful now that I was listening. But so yeah, it's very important, I think. When I started off on this whole journey, I think I wasn't really aware, and I explained to you, is that actually there are invisible energies around us that are there to help and support us if we ask. And generally speaking, if we do ask for the help, we will get it. It might not be quite in the same format that we think, but it's there. And the more we do it, the more it happens. And that's something that I pass on to my students, just because I think it's really important that we do. I've had quite a few interesting experiences, but how I got into this whole thing, should I start about how I got into this?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so how I got into this, I actually didn't. I was in corporations. I mean, I was a corporate sales rep. So what was I doing with angels and healing? I don't know. I fell into it. I was sent on a course by my husband a long time ago in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And what was really interesting was the psychic part, the intuitive part was just really something that I managed to just do so easily. I think from being a 3-year-old, I used to see spirit, and I used to have premonitions, which you'll see on my website about. I've always been able to predict, unfortunately, or maybe it's fortunate, accidents that are going to happen in the future, and they do happen, and it's how one deals with it. And it's been always very interesting. So that is something I've had all my life. But I started off in the mid-90s as registering for it was an Usui Reiki course that I ended up registering in Johannesburg. It wasn't one of those short courses, by the way. It was quite a long, intense, in-depth training. So it was like 4 months, and it was pretty full on every week. So it wasn't just, a quick course. And for that, I think that really set me up to beginning to understand what I had always been working with and seeing anyway. So it just added a new dimension to what I've already had. Um, I then practiced in Johannesburg, and I had clients there, and it just went on from that point. I left South Africa with my husband, and we went and lived in the Middle East. And that was very interesting because I got to work with different types of people with different traumas and different experiences. A lot of Holocaust survivors, with ancestral issues that were obviously coming through from all of that. It was a very interesting training, actually, because that's when you start training, is when you start working as a healer. And you get a mix of people from all over the world. You don't just get, from one country in the Middle East. They come from Russia, they come from America, South America, all over Europe. So I learned a lot there. And then when I came back to England in 2003, there was a heat wave. I remember the heat wave, but I like heat waves, so that's fine. I like the sun. I started off in East Sussex, and I started connecting through groups, various different healers. But one of the things that really struck me was the fact that a lot of people were Reiki masters, but they actually weren't practicing. And they were like, we've reached the top and that's it, and I'm a master. And I kind of thought, well, what's that going to mean? And none of them were really actually practicing. They were all just Reiki masters. And I just thought, well, what's that all about? And then I was thinking, well, let's see what happens. And I was attending shows and just, I suppose, cross-connecting with other people just to see how they worked. And I realized that there was a very, very important thing that was being missed, and that was the detail of their training, the content. It just didn't have any content. So how could people be practicing anything if there was no content in the training? To me, it was just totally inadequate. And that was the real shame, because it was just a lot of fluff. And people were wanting to be able to work with their hands and heal, but they didn't have the sufficient background knowledge to be able to set up a basic treatment. So I sat down and I thought, well, let's see what I can do. And I actually ended up spending many, many years just forming and creating a basic foundational course, which is what I call the hands-on healing course. And it's funny because throughout this, whenever I finished with students, do you know what the students used to give me as presents?
Hands?
No, little things of angels. I was given angel books. I was given like little wings. I've even got on one of my uniforms, I've got a little angel thing that was given to me just for that. In fact, I found a few more as well. And it's very strange because I actually forgot to even tell you this when we were having our pre-talk, is that I've always been given angels from my students as gifts at the end of a training or during the training, which is really strange. I've got one here. This was given to me recently by a student. See?
Ah,
And I've got another one in my bedroom, and that's a lamella made of. They gave that one to me. They're always giving them to me. Here's another angel.
oh
So I've got
wow,
angels, and I've got another one here that was crocheted, given to me by my most mature student, who's now 85.
wow, it's beautiful.
So I've got all these angels. So actually, the journey has taught me that there is something out there, and that we all have angels. So I've done this journey. I set up this school in 2003. I was coming back to England. I think it was actually 2004 that I set up the school, like really properly. And I had a very interesting first three students that were official, not people that I was just doing one-on-ones on. But it was a very interesting mix because I had a young boy, when I say a young boy, young man of 11, somebody who worked in the receiver revenue offices. So she was like in her mid 40s. And then I had this other lady who was mature, who was 65. So I had a real mixture, and I learned so much from all of that. It was just such an interesting, I suppose, official first kickoff class. It was amazing. And now the school's obviously grown and grown, and I was teaching Usui Reiki, hands-on healing, Karuna Reiki, which I did for quite some time. And then something happened, and I actually ended up meeting a woman that was in this country for literally 3 months. This was about 8 years ago. And she actually got into my husband's taxi and just said, "What does your wife do?" And I thought, well, that's a bit weird.
Bit
On it,
forward.
paper, scratched was her mobile number. I mean, it's not exactly a business card, is it? Not really. But
No.
anyway, I looked at the piece of paper and I thought, oh, I've got to phone this number, as one does. So I phoned it. Well, life just changed completely. I went and had a treatment with her, and I was blown away. I was looking for something very specifically that was going to do stuff for people that I couldn't. I wasn't getting the results I really wanted. It was not happening. I could get to a certain level, and something was missing. And when I experienced this Tera-Mai, I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So I actually converted. And a lot of my students, quite a large proportion, actually followed me, and I, trained them. But it was like I was training on the hoof. I wasn't able to go and learn it and then teach. I was literally thrown in the deep end right at the beginning because I was busy teaching students anyway.
Yeah.
So I suddenly had to get up and running. Um, and it's been really interesting. And actually, when I did more Tera-Mai, more angels came in, more students giving me more angels. So it was always that. And that was very interesting. So that's a little bit of my background now. And I was then asked, would I set up Tera-Mai energy healing in the Reiki and the Seichem in East Sussex? So obviously the Reiki comes first and the Seichem comes afterwards. It's a different level. It's higher. And it's got all the elements in it rather than just earth elements. So it's different. It's got fire and earth and air and water and all of that. But it's really interesting. And the process is more about removal of energies in order to purify us so that we can ascend in this lifetime rather than to just put a plaster on something that feels painful. So it gets a totally different result. So yeah, parasite removal, cutting of ties, timely line clearing, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really powerful stuff. But going back now, shall we go into the angel part now?
Yeah.
Shall we? Okay.
Yeah. We've been building up to the angels, so
We are. interestingly enough, I have now relocated to Alton in Hampshire. So I'm now moving from East Sussex to that point. And the angels have followed me, as I found out last week. So let's start with the first time that I really had the most amazing angelic experience. I think that would be the best.
Yeah.
So we'll go back in time to, I'm just thinking of what year it was. I think it was 1986. No, 1996. Yeah, 1996. I was living in Johannesburg in those days, and we had a farm, and I was living on the farm in Natal, and it was a very late, rainy Friday evening, and I was driving down there in a, what would you call it, twin cab bucky? I don't know what you call that, like a pickup. Has
All right.
very poor road holding. So when you slide on a wet road.
Ooh.
That's what you do. Because you haven't got good road holding for a tarmac road. You're supposed to be doing, off-road stuff. Anyway, I wasn't driving. I was in the passenger seat, and all of a sudden we skidded on a very dark, narrow road. It was outside Harrismith. The road was single. It was going down towards the Natal Midlands, and all of a sudden we just, if I can say, slid. We really did slid. We slid onto the opposite side of the road, and the engine stalled and stopped.
Oh.
I looked up and I saw two big bright lights coming straight at us from a big juggernaut lorry. And I said, oh. And then I asked the question, well, what's going to happen? Because I could just see, well, the car wasn't going, the vehicle wasn't going. And I was looking at my husband thinking, well, what's he going to do? And he wasn't doing much. He said, I'm not driving. The engine's finished. It's not working. And then all of a sudden, I just thought, okay. I prayed. Is this my time? Is this our time? The car engine started up on its own.
Wow.
And it started moving forwards and correcting itself to the other side of the road. So I said to my husband, I said, are you driving? He said, no, I'm not. I said, are you sure? He said, no, I'm not driving. I go, oh, really? Okay. So he went along, and as we got onto the correct side properly, into the proper lane, because it was only a single track, this lorry came at such a speed and missed us.
Wow.
Went past, and I just said, thank you. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
But acknowledging what had happened, and he said, I didn't drive the car. It wasn't me driving it. I said, I know. And then he just said, well, it's not our time. So that was one of the first, I was going to say, significant, I suppose, meetings of an angel that actually intervened, because it was not my time.
Yeah.
I obviously had work to do. And in those instances, they really come in and, pick up the pieces of whatever's going on. I think at the time it was because we had the farm and it was going up and down the road all the time. It's really not what you should be doing. And so obviously, yeah, you had to make a plan. And I actually realized that it was time to do something. And in those days, in that year, I hadn't quite done my Reiki training.
Ah.
And in the same breath, we rented out that farm when I moved out of that farm back to Johannesburg, and a lady brought a book on Tera-Mai energy healing. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. Thank you very much. I might look at it. And that's what I did, just like that.
Yeah.
So that accident led on to that. No such thing as a coincidence, I don't think.
No.
Anyway, probably once I'd settled back into Johannesburg, I think it was 97, something like that. I enrolled in this course, and my life was never the same after that. The next angelic thing, meeting that I had with angels happened in 2000 that I can think of that was spectacular. I mean, I've had many, but
yeah,
I'm the ones that are really spectacular. I made friends with a lady at the swimming pool where I belong, because I'm a keen swimmer, and she was a medium and a psychic. And she was a lovely lady, and she had a gash on her leg, and it wasn't healing. And so I said to her, I said, "Oh, let me have a look at your leg." And I put my hands on it, and she said, "Oh my goodness." And I didn't even do anything except just literally put my hands out. I wasn't really, I was just saying,
Yeah.
but it was sufficient enough for us to make a connection. And she said, "Oh, well, I'll come around for a treatment then." And she did. Well, we became firm friends, and she invited me to her flat to attend a meditational meeting that she used to hold in her little flat once a month. I think it was once a month, yes. She had the most amazing flat because it was overlooked the whole of Johannesburg with all the lights right up on
Wow.
the hill. It was the most stunning room. The other thing that was very noticeable was it was a double volume. So it was a really high ceiling, huge. This was actually leading on to what I was explaining, is that this one evening we had a meditation and we were all sitting down. There were a sofa on one side and another sofa on the other side, like this. Okay. And we sat there and we were going to just quieten the evening down, and then we were going to start. And all of a sudden, there was a presence. Oh my goodness. Now, we're all pretty normal people. When I say normal, I'm not saying.
What is normal and what isn't normal?
Give you an example. The two ladies sitting opposite me on the sofa opposite me were two medical reps. Okay. There was me, and then there was Verna. So there was just four of us. And she was actually, I think she also worked in sales. I think it was maybe a publishing company. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Anyway, we're just sitting there, and there was this whoosh, you could feel a huge energy's presence literally come into the space. And the next thing, and I could feel the energy in the room, it just plonked itself in between these two girls. And when I say that this energy felt 12 foot. Yeah, 12 foot. And in between them, because it was a big sofa and they had this gap in between them. One was sitting by one armrest and the other was on the other armrest. And this energy just went, whoosh. Well, it was just amazing. And we thought, well, who's here? What's going on? The next thing, oh my goodness. And this was really so incredible, actually. And it's actually changed my life, changed my perception of angels, definitely. This being, which we couldn't see, but you could sense it, and it was such an incredible presence, started singing. Oh gosh. If you've ever been to a cathedral and heard that kind of singing, well, this was actually even hard. I can't explain. It wasn't even like that. It was of a different level. And the thing was, because of the flat being a double volume and this huge view, I mean, it was just it was amazing. And for 10 minutes, which is a long time, sitting in silence, saying nothing, and just listening to this amazing, it was like a choral singing. It was incredible. And I just thought to myself, well, I've had one experience that was very profound. I'm now seeing this one. And I thought, oh, there really are angels, which is the title of tonight. And I really thought this again was just amazing. What was really incredible was that this angel went on singing, but it wasn't even one voice. It was almost like a choir of angels, because it resonated up into the ceiling, and it was just intoning itself. It was just incredible. I mean, we were all sitting there with sort of open jaws going, well, oh my goodness, what's going on? Like, So we were like that for 10 minutes, and then eventually it stopped. And this was the most interesting exit that it made, because you could feel it sort of lifted and got up. And it didn't just disappear. You know what it did? it walked round the table that was kind of in front of me and walked in between, well, away from the other two girls, and then past myself and Werner, who was sitting next door to me. And I could feel this rush. So you could feel it. It was very powerful, very big, as in maybe with some of the energies that I now work like with Thoth and other various other energies. But I could feel this. It was almost like a feathers. I mean, it was like a whoosh as it walked past us, and we just looked at one another. We couldn't even do anything because we were going to have a meditation. Well, that was it. I mean, it was time for a cup of tea, because what else could we do? We couldn't continue. I mean, that was it. We were done. And I must say, we then discussed it. We then decided to have tea. We didn't do any more meditation that evening because there was no point. We were just so amazed by that we thought we're not going to sit, and we just wanted to talk about it because, well, what else was there to do? It was just the most astounding experience that I ever had. And I think for the other ladies as well. But that was back in 2000. So it was just after we'd, seen in the new tree. It was interesting. But it did change my perception a lot, a huge amount. Yeah, I think when I think about these little, well, they're not huge, these amazing energies that are with us, I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They're really. So that from that point on, that was two particularly very profound experiences I've had. And then obviously, since we've spoken, last week I had another incredibly, what can I say? I suppose I had an awakening in a way because I had to really use whatever I had to resolve an issue. Having moved into Alton now, I had a moment. I wouldn't say it's a senior moment, but I had a blank moment. And I had keys, the front door keys, and for some reason they weren't with my car keys. I got in the car, and for some reason I didn't put them in my bag. I had them on my lap. I didn't know. Anyway, I got out the car and I was going off to do some shopping in Sainsbury's, and I didn't think about the keys. And I went and did the shop, and I went across and walked down the high street and went to Boots, came back. When I finally got back to the house, I was thinking, well, okay, now I must open up and put the groceries away. No key. No key at all. I thought, oh my God, don't tell me. Because we'd already locked ourselves out the previous week, but there was luckily a bathroom window open. So we've already hoisted it up. And because I'd cracked my elbow, I couldn't easily climb up. So she legged it up. This time I'm on my own. So I thought, oh no. So I thought, well, let me go and look and see, because I remembered shutting the bedroom window and I was thinking, well, yes. And then something said about windows. And I don't know what happened, but I did somehow jog that I hadn't shut the bathroom one, which is not an easy one to open, may I tell you. Because I'm becoming a very good housebreaker. But I walked round, and you know what? That small window was open, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to use this elbow again. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to do something. But I thought, before I do this, I need to know where the keys are. So I went back to Sainsbury's. I went and asked the manager. I went and searched shelves. You name it, I did it. I even walked all the way back to Boots. And then I knew, damn it, I've lost the keys. So I thought, well, I'm just going to have to break in. So I arrived at the neighbour. She looked at me. She said, do you need a gin? I said, yeah, well, I probably could do with one, but I actually think a cup of tea will probably be sufficient. And she ended up getting her son to help me with a ladder. That was actually fine. And I quite enjoyed it because I was going to say I wasn't on my own by then. And I thought, okay, he can. But my neighbour luckily said to me, I'm going to leg it. So I thought, okay, he's going to leg it. I didn't have to do the elbow bit through the window, which was I suppose, just a relief, really, because
Yeah.
you can climbing through window with this. It was just, I could have stretched, but I've only just started swimming now, so my tendons are a bit tight. Anyway, we got in, and that was fine. But I was still very niggly because I knew that I'd lost these keys. And I didn't remember if on the keys it had the address on it or not. And I couldn't remember, but I knew that they were distinctive because it was 2 different types of keys on a block of wood. Anyway, in the morning, for some reason, I didn't rush around. I just took my time. And if I remember correctly, I started swimming. So I was in a good frame of mind. I came home, I had breakfast. I went back to Sainsbury's again. Went to the customer services, and the ladies who worked there said, no, 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 we haven't seen your keys. I did another search, and then something said, no, you'll be fine, don't worry. And then something kicked in, and this is what kicked in. I ended up, something said to me, because the neighbor said, you need spare keys. So I thought, okay, I need spare keys. So I went and I asked the lady who worked in Sainsbury's, where's the key cutter? And they said, oh, he's outside in a little shed. So I walked across and down there, and I was about, I think I did ask him if he cuts keys, and he could cut me a key. And then something said no and stopped me from, asking more about keys. There was something else happened. And then this is what was really interesting. I suddenly said to him, and I didn't say this, by the way, it was nothing to do with me. It just came through me. He said, have you seen some keys? There were 2 on a block of wood. You might have picked them up, possibly yesterday. Have you seen them? Well, I wouldn't have asked him that question because I hadn't walked there the previous day. I'd walked into Sainsbury's, but not past where exactly he was. He looked at me in the most weird way, and I thought, why are you giving me a funny look? What's that about? And he said, oh, and he opened up the till. Oh my goodness. Should have seen my face. There was a block of wood with the 2 keys. I didn't know what to say. Unfortunately, he's a bit worried about COVID and all of that, so I couldn't exactly say it. He kind of said, well, stay back. And I'm thinking, okay, but you know what happened? I was just so relieved. I just looked at him and thought, well, I'll have to go and buy him a cup of coffee or something, because he had found those keys. Do you know where he found them on the day I'd lost them, and he'd found them on a bench. So actually somebody had found those keys somewhere else in the car park, put them on a bench, and he'd found them. And because he was the locksmith, he'd taken the keys and put them in his till.
Wow.
So all along the line, I was following this paper chase. And it was only because I actually went there, and it was the energies that were channeled through me that made me ask the question. And I was thinking, oh my goodness. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you something, since was it Friday that, he gave me the keys back. Well, now all the keys are sorted. I've got keys on my car keys. Everything's sorted. We've got spare done, sorted, done. I'm not going to be climbing any more drain pipes, ladders, or anything else. And I think what it is that we have to slow down and listen. And sometimes when things are a little bit desperate, you've just got to listen and allow stuff to come through. But it is interesting that, my feeling of, when I was so skeptical at the beginning of my journey as a practitioner and healer, was the fact that, are there angels? And I wasn't somebody who I never really thought about it too much. But I'm going to say, at the end of what I've experienced, and I probably have many other ones. I mean, when I first came to Alton, there were feathers left in certain places. And I can't tell you all the sorts of weird things that I've come across. They do happen. And I think it's because it's just to nudge us to become more aware, to be more conscious, and to be more mindful. And it's those small little nudges that we have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And
And sometimes the big ones as well. Elaine has put on here that in 1991, angels were definitely with her and well with us. I was walking across the road pushing a baby in a pram, and my other two either side of me had a car smashed straight into the pram. My daughter was flung from the top to the bottom. Um, Fortunately, she was strapped in. There was a double decker bus approaching to the right of us. It was the most scariest moment I've ever experienced. The driver claimed the sun had caught his eye, so blinded his vision. Most amazingly, we all came away from this unscathed. The only damage was to the pram.
wow, you see, that's what happens. It's really incredible. I mean, I've had things. I actually did have another one. I remember doing some ancestral work, and normally when I'm doing treatments, I don't wear rings on my finger. I did something and I said something, and all of a sudden my fingers transform and they become huge. That's why I can't wear rings when I'm doing healing work, because my hands do change. And obviously, something was coming through, and I just remembered something happened. But my signet ring, my finger was so swollen, it went black, and I actually couldn't feel. And I remember a friend of mine looked at my finger after I'd swum, and they said, if you don't get yourself to the hospital, you're going to lose that finger. Do you know, I got to the hospital. It was a cottage hospital in East Sussex. They didn't even, I was in a bit of a state. Obviously, I drove myself. And when I got there, I just thought, I can't stand in a long queue. Angels, I need some help. Do you know what happened? I didn't stand in a long queue. This sister looked at me. She literally yanked me. She saw one look at my hand, and she literally yanked me down into this room. Didn't even register me, because normally in the NHS, they register you, don't they? And you have to fill
Yeah.
in forms and blah, blah, blah. Oh, none of that. Nothing. I just got pulled into this room. My hand was thrust onto this cushion, and this other nurse came in with the biggest kind of, it was like a saw. I was terrified because I thought, my finger, I'm supposed to be doing, but you know what happened? They got it off. And it was the most frightening thing. It was actually really scary. But I think if there hadn't been an intervention where the woman had seen me and seen my hand, by the time I'd got through that whole queue at the cottage hospital, I would have lost at least one finger.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, but this one was not good. It was huge. That wouldn't have been funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and CMJ Moseberg says about with the angels, it's like finding love in every cell when I felt it, what love really is.
Yes, it is. And it's that you have to be open to the angels. You've got to be open to it and accepting. And I think that one thing that is really important is the gratitude. You've got to acknowledge it. When you say thank you and you've acknowledged it, they will connect more and more with you. And you ask them. I mean, now I work with Michael a lot in my work, and I will ask him, please come in and do this and this and this. And I know that it's just done. There's
Yeah,
no it. And so, having kind of always been a little bit skeptical, as in my journey has taught me not to be skeptical. There really are angels, and we just have to work with them.
yeah, and it's actually remembering to every day, every day I say good morning to the angels. Every night I say thank you, angels, for whatever has happened during the day. You know, I go to a supermarket or somewhere and I'm like, thank you, angels, for finding me the most perfect parking spot, and I always get a parking space, even if it's the most packed car park there is. So you don't even need it for really special things or that mundane things. They just want to come in and help you. But you
Yeah,
have to ask and look out for those signs and those synchronicities, because they're always there talking to us, aren't they? We're
yeah.
just us, slow, as you did with the keys, where you kind of like went, okay, let's just slow down.
It is.
and be open.
I think it is about the lesson. I think is, and I mean, I would say I do make errors. I go too quickly, and that's when we slow down and we listen. That's when things work out. And rather than doing multitasking, I'm always doing like 600 things at once. Do. Actually, you know what? If we slow it down, we're going to get it done anyway. And yeah, hopefully not have too many accidents on the way. So don't break in through windows and things.
Exactly, and the police get called. She's breaking in through a window.
Yes. Oh no, I'm breaking into my own house.
Exactly, and Eric says, "I love that. I do that too."
What, breaking into windows?
No, I don't think Eric breaks into windows. Well, I hope not.
No. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, no, asking thanking the angels for parking spaces and things like that. So, anyone else who's watching, have you got any experience of angels? Do you talk to them? Obviously Eric does, because he's just said that. And whilst you're deciding if you're going to share or not share. As you know, I do angel oracle card readings and guided meditations, and each week I like to ask my guests whether they would like me to pull an angel oracle card for them or do a guided meditation, or whether there's something they want to do. So, Victoria, what would you like?
well, well, goodness, you've always put me on the spot. I'm just so. Would you like to do a meditation?
I can do a meditation. That's absolutely fine.
Well,
Uh,
maybe appropriate just because of then maybe everybody will be able to connect to angels, which is what it's all about.
yep, I can.
Pull out one card.
Yeah, I was actually thinking we could do that, and Eric has confirmed no parking spaces, not breaking into houses.
I think it's what it is. I think that it would unify everybody. I think if you did a meditation, more so because I think it's going to touch everyone.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We will do
That, that's the way I feel anyway. If I was in a class or we're talking
yeah,
to
no, we're gonna do a meditation.
a,
Um, yeah, okay, so we're actually going to do a meditation with a couple of cards. So just close your eyes, and everyone watching, just close your eyes. And as you do so, take a deep breath in. And on the out breath, just release everything that doesn't need to be in this space at this time. Take another deep breath in. And on the out breath, just release everything that doesn't need to be here. And just allow your breathing to fall into its natural rhythm. Every in breath relaxing you more and more. And every out breath, just releasing everything out of your body. And just think about relaxing your body. Think about relaxing your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, all the way down your arms to your fingertips. But when you think about relaxing, so you will relax. Give yourself permission and allow yourself to relax. And just feel that relaxation moving down through your head, down through your face, all the way down into your neck, down into your shoulders as your shoulders just start to relax so much. And allow this relaxation to move down your arms to your fingers. Feel it move into your upper body, your chest, your stomach, your back, and feel your spine relaxing vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae as this relaxation moves down into your hips, your pelvis, your buttocks sinking you deeper down where you are sitting. As this relaxation moves further down through your legs, all the way down into your toes, and you feel so beautifully relaxed. And just use your imagination and imagine that you are standing at the edge of a forest, looking out on a vista, and there's a beautiful path going through beautiful green fields. Maybe there are flowers in the fields. It's a bright summer's day with the sun beating down, and you can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. And you can see the sun in the distance. So you start meandering along this path. And as you do, you might notice there's a fox just following your path as you walk along. And it just feels so wonderful. It's as if you're on a beautiful journey. A beautiful journey where you're following your bliss, your heart's desire, your contentment. And the path just seems to be wandering further and further along. And you feel the energy of this fox. And suddenly this fox's energy starts to change. And you feel the energy change into a beautiful, large energy, as if it's got wings. And you notice this fox transforming into a beautiful angel. And you may see this angel, you may feel this angel, you may just know this angel. It may have big wings. It may be in human form. It may be in an animal form. It may still be a fox. But you know that this is a guardian angel, an angel who is with you on this path, on this journey. So I just leave you a moment just to connect with this angel as you feel its presence all around you. Maybe as if it's wrapping its wings with unconditional love. And as you fully connect with this beautiful angelic energy, you have the chance, if you wish, to ask a question. Ask this question about where you should be going, what's next on your journey, what do you need to know? How can you follow your bliss, navigate the path, and just allow the answers to come to you, whether that's a thought, a picture, an object, a knowing, a sense. And it may be that it'll appear on the pathway. It may be where your journey's going to. Just allow that to come in now. You may find that you're even given a map with instructions on how to get there, what to do. You just feel the unconditional love and the absolute joy. And you know that you can enjoy this journey because you have the guidance of the angels, of your guardian angel with you. Every step of that journey. So you can just enjoy it. Know that you're walking in your bliss. And This was just a brief visit along this wandering path. And you find that you've now reached a doorway on the path that is going to bring you back into your current time, into the here and now, remembering your whole journey, the steps you have to take, but most importantly, bringing back that energy of that angel that you can call on anytime you wish. So open that door now and step through and step back into the here and now. And on the count of 5, you'll be back fully present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fully back, fully present, remembering your whole journey. Open your eyes, wiggle fingers and toes, make sure you are fully back. Drink some water if you've got some water or tea or something by you. And if when you're ready, please feel free to share in the comments your journey. And how are you, Victoria?
I'm fine, thank you. It's interesting because there was definitely a presence. They were there.
I saw your hand. I saw your hands move.
Oh God, yeah, they do. Well, yeah, they hold them. It's an interesting. It happens a lot, actually, a lot. That's when I'm working as well. They yeah, the ascended masters and that they come. But it was interesting.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful to watch. And that so where did your journey take you?
My journey, it was interesting because it was actually, I was in Natal and I was walking up a mountain, rock pool. I've actually got it in one of my manuals, which is funny, but it's a place um, it's in the foothills almost of Lesotho Mountains, and there was a rock pool there, and I used to go up there and swim there, and it was full of crabs and fresh fish. It was beautiful, but you couldn't drive there. You had to go by foot. So it's a real place.
Yeah.
So when I connect and I'm going up there, it's just to go to a place where there's nobody. So you go up, and there was ancient, what do they call them? Cycads. I don't know if you know what a cycad is. It's like from the dinosaur period,
Okay.
very old, like a fern type of tree. So they had giant ferns there and these cycads. And
Um,
but I actually got a photograph somewhere of that. So I mean, I have taken pictures of this place, and so that's a place I always return to, um, just to center, because you're right up in the mountains and it's clear. And from what I remember, there were no buildings, nothing. It was just beautiful.
oh wow. Beautiful place to go on a journey to then.
Yes, well, it's because it's the sun and the sky and just, yeah, Mother Nature. What can I say? All the
Yeah,
good ingredients for life, I think. So yeah, I always go there. Always, it's sort of my place.
beautiful. So whilst people are kind of like getting back to here, and if they want to share and their experience or their journey or the connecting with their angel, you know what it felt like. Um, Whilst they're doing that, Victoria, do you have any insights or thoughts or words of wisdoms that you can leave our viewers with?
I think no matter how difficult it might be to think that there is an angelic realm, that when you actually allow yourself to open up to the possibility, it's about, because I didn't have that feeling, you see. I used to have premonitions, but I had this thing where I didn't really think there were angels. I think it was because of the fact that, I don't know, indoctrination, or, at school you get given sort of Bible study stuff that gets thrown at you and you kind of question it and you think, nah, it's just a story.
Yeah, angels, Bible.
Yeah. And I thought, well, I've had this experience, well, lots of experiences that actually made me think, oh. there is something here. What is this? And so what I'm going to say is that when you get that feeling, that tapping, that niggling little feeling, that you need to pay attention. And I think that's what happened to me on all these occasions. I knew that when the car stopped, that he wasn't driving it, it was being driven. And you have to acknowledge that. So I'm going to say acknowledgement is probably my biggest bit of advice to people, is to acknowledge when you've come across something. And the more you acknowledge and the more gratitude you have for whatever happens in the outcomes, which are positive anyway, that you get more of it. So I would say absolutely. And I was thinking, even when that angel came to sing for us, we had to talk about it. We couldn't continue the evening as we'd planned. We didn't. We discussed it. We talked about it because it was amazing. And then obviously when I went to get my keys, well, I wasn't going to go to the locksmith as such. I mean, why would I have gone there? I didn't even go there. But my feet were walking on, and when your legs are walking and you don't know where they're walking, and it's like, and then the question came out. I thought, why am I asking this man such a weird question? It was weird. Why would he have known? I hadn't been in the shop. And I did ask him, and oh my goodness, that was exactly what I should have been asking. So I think what we have to do is trust. So yeah, I think that your listeners need to listen and trust and acknowledge. And the more you do that, I think the more experiences you will have, and an easier life experience in the end, because you're not going against the grain. You're working with who can help you. And I think that's really, really important. Really, just from my.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything that you've just said, with regards to the angels. So yeah, thank you so much for those words. I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, and that you're going to start talking to your angels, feeling their presence and listening to their answers, and thanking them for the help and guidance they give you. So, Victoria, if people want to get in contact with you or connect with you, how do they do that?
Okay, well, they can get hold of me on the website. So that's one of the ways they can get hold of me. There's on the contact page at the back at the end. That's yourhandscanheal.co.uk. Okay, so there's that. I'm also on Facebook. Your Hands Can Heal. You've got the link on the.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll put a link in the comments. So literally all you need to do is just click on, and it'll take you straight to Victoria's website and Facebook page and
Yeah,
Instagram. And
yeah, and the other thing, I'm also on Instagram, but I've lost one of my one of my since my phone packed up. But that was the other thing. The angels, yeah, they told me my phone was about to break, and it did break. So I had a phone as well.
so
Um,
so did you actually get a phone beforehand? Did you actually listen
yeah,
to them?
well, I needed an ambulance because I was on the floor covered in blood. I'd fallen on a wet floor, having spoken to a client, and I'd run the bath. Don't even go there, but apparently you don't get ambulances at 1:30, 1:45 in the morning on a Friday. Apparently they in Alton. And when I told people that I'd managed to get an ambulance to come to the house, people just said, well, what was that about? And I said, I don't know. I got one. The angels looked after me, and they did. And the guys bandaged my arm up so tight that, yes, I had to go to A&E later, but I've got no scar and it's healed. And 7 weeks later, I'm now back in the pool. So I'm going to say yes again. You asked me about angels. Yes. So that is how my phone broke. Well, it wasn't. Last call I ever made was, I think, was for the ambulance. And in that, I lost my other Instagram account. But Yeah, I'm just looking here. I just need to see it. Sorry, my eyes.
That's okay. Whilst you're doing that, Susie says, so agree. Thank you both. Thank you so much for watching, Susie.
Thank you. There's Tera-Mai Reiki with Victoria. And I post that quite regularly as well. But you've got the link anyway as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can anyone can find you.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. But yes, I mean, yeah, I've had lots of different experiences of the angels. I forgot about that other one as well. But yeah, you just have to say thank you. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's no ambulances, but I got an ambulance. How did that happen? I don't know.
It's the angels. They will work. They will work for you when you work with them, and it's a collaboration. I always think of it as it's a collaboration. You're working together.
They picked me up and I mean, I hit my head right on the kitchen floor.
Ooh.
And when I came crashing down, but it was almost as if there was something behind me just bringing me down on the floor. So I did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you so much, Victoria, for this conversation and bringing your insight of angels to us. It was absolutely amazing. And of course, everyone watching, if you are ready to remember your divine presence and step onto your spiritual multidimensional path, but you feel lost, confused, stuck, or alone, then please feel free to reach out and connect with me, and we can arrange a free video call to discuss where you are now and how you can move forward to take charge of your destiny so that you can spread your wings and soar. And please feel free to join my weekly newsletter and receive a free future life progression recording where I take you into a future lifetime to get guidance and clarity that you can use in your current life, as well as a couple of other free gifts, including a cord cutting with Archangel Michael. And of course, if you want to meet with your guardian angel, I have created a short guided meditation for you. So to help you do that, so do check that out. And again, thank you everyone for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny, just like you, and maybe need to know more about angels. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button. Be notified when the show goes live or I post new guided meditations. And each new subscription really does help me. And I look forward to seeing you all same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone. And again, thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, Ray.